in hand, it's a delight to be with you on the morning programme Out of Destination Newry. We enter the last lap, the bell has gone, 1 hour to go, and no better man to take us into the last hour than James McAreavey of the Newry Maritime Association. Welcome.
Good morning, Ron.
So good to see you. As you might have detected, we now have regular slots on the programme. Newry Maritime Association, we have the man you've just been talking to, my bike and back man, Steve Eccles. We have the Destination Wellbeing with Joanna. We have the Newry Inland Waterways Association people. Everybody contributing to the grand ethos that is Newry, that we're very, very proud of indeed. Do you know what I thought of you this morning coming up the road, James? It was really about 4:30, and I'm passing along River Street.
Yeah.
That's the one closest to the river.
Yep.
Kilmurray's at the back of it. And I saw the blue plaque.
Yeah.
For Raymond Kelly. But I also saw the bouquet of flowers.
Yes.
On the iron structure underneath it.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, of all of the years that Newry people knew the name but knew nothing of Raymond Kelly, now what motivated your society to move on that and to get Raymond Kelly recognised?
Well, I think, Rowan, in all honesty, it was exactly just that, just as you're after saying, there was a desire to get the achievement of this young man in the public eye and raise his persona in the town where he was born and reared and where he was all but forgotten. Yes, we've got Raymond Kelly Park over at the foot of Barcroft, but how many people would know the relativity of the name of the houses and where they got their name from?
Yeah, they wouldn't have known.
They wouldn't know.
And Kelly, this young man was a man of courage. He was a sailor in the Bay of Biscay. He dived into the water 3 times to rescue people from another ship that was sinking. And on the 3rd time, he didn't make it back.
Well,
something like that.
That is it in a nutshell. He rescued 2 men off a stricken ship, and the owner's wife was in difficulties in the water. The captain had launched a lifeboat, and the lifeboat overturned. And his ship was standing by, and the lifeboat overturned, pitching everyone into the water. I think there was 16 in the lifeboat, and young Kelly, without fear or hesitation, dived into the seas in what his captain described as the bravest act he had ever seen. And if you just stop, and I have thought about this many a time since, Rowan, right, okay, we'll say he's standing there, the adrenaline's pumping and one thing and another, I've got to do something. Boom, he dives in. But having done that and got a man out, what did it take to go the 2nd time? And he gets the 2nd man out, and then to go a 3rd time. But he was a big, strong man. Everybody tells me, although he was only coming 19 years old, he was a big, well-built, strong fella, over 6 foot tall. But you can imagine how his energies would have been sapped. There are descriptions that were given at the Board of Trade inquiry of 14-foot waves.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and, we're not talking about someone at Dublin Bridge diving into the tranquil waters of Newry Canal.
No.
You know, people should understand really what we're dealing with here.
It was a maelstrom. The ocean was churning.
Churning, boiling.
In the Bay of Biscay.
Boiling.
With a whole run, the whole sweep from the east coast of America, crossing the Atlantic, fetching up on the continental shelf of the Bay of Biscay. And wow! And that's what Raymond Kelly went into.
And lost his life. And to compound the agony for his widowed mother and his family, his body was never found. But that was in 1947, and then the following year he was awarded the George Cross, and then there never was any real recognition for him and what he achieved. But of course, we have two George Cross winners, as you know. We have Michael Blaney.
Michael Blaney. We'll talk about Michael in a moment. But in relation to the body never being found, it strikes me, and maybe if his dear widowed mother was still alive today, and she's not, but it always strikes me that whether a man is lost at sea, never to be got again, or a man was lost on a mountainside in the Alps, and there's a man's body discovered within the last month, and it was going to be, and his father said, far, far better that he had stayed there because he loved there. That's so same with Remy Kelly. He loved the ocean, he loved the sea, and he rests in the bosom of the ocean.
No doubt about that.
But then you mentioned the next name, Michael Blaney. Michael Blaney was an officer in the military. He was an ATO, an ammunition technical officer, and his job was to defuse bombs in London. And in he went. Tell the story. Well,
it was, the Blitz began in September 1940, and it was a period of sustained German bombing, and the thinking on the behalf of the Germans was that if they could bomb London into submission, the rest of the country would capitulate. And as we know, with the benefit of hindsight, that didn't happen, and London withstood the onslaught, and incredibly, even St Paul's Cathedral survived. But the worst period was actually just before Christmas in 1940, and it was on the 13th of December, Friday the 13th.
Oh my God!
A fortuitous day.
Yes.
That Captain Blaney answered a call to attend the scene of an unexploded bomb adjacent to a primary school in North London.
And let's reinforce, Newry man in London.
Newry man in London.
There he is, Captain, gets the call.
Son of the town surveyor Charles Blaney, Bridge Street man.
As Newry as you can get.
Born and reared, just 30 years old, and a professional young man. Now, I've thought about him a lot too, because this man was a well-educated young professional. He was an engineer and worked for Newry Urban Council, like his father. He had been engaged on a scheme, overseeing a scheme in Newry in 1939, whereby new footpaths were being laid. And in Easter of that year, the scheme finished and he joined the British Army. Now, if you stop and think about it, Rowan, he came from a middle-class family, fairly comfortable background. The father was a professional man. He had a good job as an engineer himself. So he joined on a point of principle. He obviously wanted to do his bit to stand up for what he saw as the oppressors, the Nazis. And he wanted to do his bit.
It's a kind of a Newry trait. Newry people tend to stand up, don't they?
Yeah, like, I mean, he had no call to be there.
No, no.
That's the point I'm making. And he wasn't coerced into going.
No.
He volunteered his services.
In another situation, you and I have talked about this before, and we talk about it again now. We had the son of a docker, Archbishop Francis Carroll.
Yeah, yeah.
He chose to go into the white man's graveyard of the west coast of Africa, into Liberia, and spent his life there doing his thing.
Yeah.
So when Newry men went out to places and did things.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. But young Blaney, that fateful day, in the course of the operation to defuse the bomb exploded, and himself and the 8 men with him and the policeman who was supervising the operation, all 10 were killed. And to compound the agony for his family, his body was brought home and he was buried on Christmas Day 1940 in St Mary's.
Dear oh dear.
Christmas Day 1940.
1940.
And the significant thing there is, Rowan, if anyone was looking for his grave, they wouldn't find it as Blaney. He's buried in the Flood grave in the old cemetery. His mother being a member of the Flood, Dr. Richard Flood. And the original Dr. Flood was Mrs. Blaney's brother.
My goodness.
And the present Dr. Flood that we have is the third generation.
My goodness. You know, I've often thought, when I've seen the pictures through your own good offices, I've seen pictures of Michael Blaney. There's a remarkable similarity between the Blaney man today, who runs Otto, whatever it's called up there. He's a tall man, square-shouldered, and if you squinted and if he was in khaki, he could be the man who died.
There is no doubt, I've often thought that there is a striking resemblance between, and he's named after him.
Yes.
Max Blaney is Michael Blaney, and the current gentleman is also Michael Blaney.
Michael Blaney.
And of course, Otto Lane are corporate members of the Maritime Association.
Of course. I had the joy the other day, and maybe we can use this as an opportunity to encourage people. I was walking down from ground at 6 o'clock in the morning, where I go for my coffee every morning after writing the news, walking down the lovely, lovely new pathway down. Sun was shining high and coming up in the sky. The sky was blue, the moon in the other quarter was there. So the sun and the moon in the one sky within the blue of it. And I'm walking down and I muse, this is beautiful. The water is sparkling. It's clean. It's crystalline. I can see down through it. And I thought to myself, I see wee bits of, somebody has thrown something in there. There's a bag there. There's a kind of a food tray there. And on the path, I lifted the stuff that was on the path. I could not lift it.
I know, yeah.
I lifted it and put it into the receptacle that was there for it.
That was provided.
That was provided, and in it went.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself then, if I would be a devil for having around my person, I'm a sort of walking Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? So I could, in my person, like a wee bit of maybe 2 meters of cord that you would have. Maybe it goes back to the days when in Newry and Mary Street we had the cubby hole under the stairs. Yeah. And you'd have everything. You had bits of cord, and you'd have brown paper bags from the grocery, Barney Collins and Mary
Barney Collins, yeah.
You'd have that. But maybe have that habit. And it always struck me that if I had that with a little hook of kinds, so that I saw a piece of paper in the water of the canal, that we would just throw it out, catch and pull it in and ditch it. Now, if everyone was doing something like that, what a wonderful thing it would be.
Well, we have a priest over in Drummalane, the parish priest, Lawrence Boyle.
Yes.
A dairyman. And Lawrence laments all the time about the lack of civic pride in Newry, and the fact that the local council would appear not to do enough with respect to instilling civic pride. Yeah. He laments about the state of the roundabouts, particularly on the approaches to the town. Yeah. And, you know, quite rightly cites other places such as Coleraine, Ballymena, Craigavon, where we have beautiful roundabouts on the approaches to these places. And it makes you wonder, like, you know...
is he a member of your association?
Lawrence, no, he's not. He doesn't... He would tell you he's run of his feet, as he says.
Well, I would say no, no offence, Lawrence, no offence at all. I listened to this man tell me about a lack of civic pride, because this man has done something. I find it difficult to listen to hurlers on the ditch. Now, that's me being cruel, Lawrence, but no. You can join this society immediately.
Yeah, but now, in fairness now, I was talking to him just last week, and he was telling me of traversing Mary Street, and he was picking up litter as he went along.
Well done, Lawrence Boyle.
And there was no receptacle in which to place the rubbish. Yeah, well, you know.
The council is, we have to say, look, for goodness sake, the council has worked hand in glove with you.
Oh, no doubt.
To make a difference.
Yeah, well,
they are a good council in that regard.
Well, the way I look at it is, Rowan, there's only so much you can do. And each and every one of us is a stakeholder, you know. And people are very quick to claim ownership when it suits.
Yes.
You know, if there's something beneficial. But as regards getting it down at the coal face, that's a different thing.
But James,
and then you get a lot to something that you would be au fait with over the years. Why don't you? Why did you not?
Nah, yeah. I remember.
It's a wonder. It's a wonder you wouldn't.
Oh, it was like me having a go at Lawrence there, saying, "What does he do about it?"
Exactly.
But yet he is gathering litter. Well done, Lawrence Boyle.
And before I forget, there's a lady in Warren Point watching. She's an avid viewer of yours.
Wow.
Dolores O'Neill, good morning.
Dolores, good morning.
And the Red Star Ferry Company. There you are. That's
we need to get someone from the historic Red Star Ferry Company up to talk about
absolutely,
it. And we'll
no
find
doubt.
that and make that happen.
Well, Brenton O'Neill is back.
Brenton is back doing it.
Yes.
I invited Brenton onto the programme last year, but he was so busy he didn't manage it. But maybe we can get him up.
Well, something else, Rowan, that we'll have to mention, of course, is the cruise ferry this weekend.
Yeah.
And I hope the powers that be are mindful that the operations of the Red Star ferry cannot be compromised in any way. Cruise ferry or not, the Red Star ferry must make the international crossing between Warren.
I think Brendan O'Neill is a good enough seaman, a good enough man of the ocean to make sure he keeps out of the way of the ferry. I think so. But the wonderful thing about the ferry coming in, and by the way, next Wednesday, my documentary on the arrival of the ferry will be screened on my programme. I'm boarding at dawn outside the lighthouse, the Saga Pearl 2. I'm filming with George Kingsnorth. We're coming up into Newry, into Warren Point with the vessel, and we'll be producing that wonderful documentary. So we'll have something that will go into the record books, and it'll be in the archives wherever.
Very good.
That's what we're trying to achieve. I note this week there is a constancy of attention being given to the channel on the way up. There's a 24/7 dredging at the moment to make sure everything's the way it should be. Because people don't realise in a port, you do need to dredge all the time.
Well, there is an ongoing operation at Warren Point, and even Leo Cunningham would be up constantly with the tug ploughing along the berths.
Yeah.
But as you say, this is a concerted effort. There's a small dredger there at the moment over from Liverpool, and they're dredging along the deep water berth there to I think get about 7 metres down to 7 metres.
Yeah.
And of course the turning circle, because with the constant spinning round with the ferry,
it's blowing up.
It's blowing everything up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing all that, and you know, it's fantastic to see this ship coming, because it's going to put Warren Point on the map for that particular activity.
Yeah. But can you imagine that boat? They're coming all the way down from Iceland.
That's right.
And they arrive at the mouth of the loch, and they're not sure what they're going to see. They come in, and they see the morning mist at 6 o'clock start to lift and drift. They see the quiet, glassy surface of the loch. They see the growing heat of the day, and the mist beginning to be burnt off. They see the reflections of the mountains of Cooley and Omeath to the port side. They see the foothills of the Mourne to the right. They see the monument, and they see the beckoning buildings. It's lovely. They're going to come back again and again and again. You're proud to be a man of the sea, aren't you, of this?
Well, you know, I think that this is really fantastic, and you know, everyone. I always make a point in asking people, like the cruise of the 2 tall ships that we've had. What did you think of your journey up?
Yes,
through
you did a lovely documentary on a tall ship coming up. Yeah,
through Carlingford Loch and the canal, and they all say, you know, absolutely beautiful, very striking scenery, and especially then coming through narrow water up to the loch and through Fathom, you know.
Good news as we finish. The meeting occurred on Wednesday, the first meeting in Warren Point of the North-South, not ministerial council, that didn't happen, but North-South politicians meeting to start getting funding for the Narrowwater Bridge. So we'll see what's going to happen there. Thanks for coming in.
Not a problem, Rowan, and thanks to you once again.
Oh, you're welcome, always. And we're now going to go to Tommy Sands. Tommy is, of course, a man that we know well, very heavily involved at the moment in the Fiddler's Green Festival.
That's right.
And his, you know...
Now an international event.
Absolutely, it's absolutely great. So, Tommy...